isn't silent because there's nothing to hear. It's silent because something chooses silence. Not the kind of silence that feels peaceful, but the kind that feels intentional, predatory, a silence that devours. It doesn't glow, it doesn't shimmer, it doesn't announce itself with light or motion. Instead, it consumes both light and time without hesitation, without mercy. It isn't made of matter, at least not as we know it. There's no surface, no edges, no heart to speak of. Just a boundary, a threshold, a line in space where the rules, our rules, simply end. Physicists call it an event horizon, but you can think of it like the edge of a story you'll never finish reading, because the final pages have been ripped from the universe itself. This thing doesn't just live in darkness, it creates it. You wouldn't see it, you wouldn't hear it. You could be drifting through space, humming softly to yourself, and everything would feel perfectly normal, until suddenly there is no self, no song, no story, just absence. And this isn't fiction, this isn't some dream cooked up by a sci-fi screenwriter. This thing is real, it's out there, and it's moving. Rogue, the most terrifying object in the universe. To understand why a rogue black hole is so utterly terrifying, first, we need to understand what a black hole actually is. And the truth is, it's not what most people imagine. It's not a hole, not some cosmic tunnel or gateway. It isn't even really a thing, it's a consequence, a scar left behind after a star dies. When a massive star burns through the last of its fuel, it can no longer hold itself up. Its outer layers explode in a supernova, one of the most violent events in the cosmos. But what's left behind doesn't just disappear. The core collapses in on itself, crushed under the weight of its own gravity, folded tighter and tighter until all of its mass is squeezed into an unimaginably small point, a place with no size but infinite density. This is a black hole, not just massive but fundamentally extreme. So powerful it curves space, so dense it slows time. So strange, even the laws of physics throw up their hands and surrender. Close to it, time dilates. A second can stretch into hours, days, years. Farther in, logic itself unravels. And at the very center, hidden beyond all reach, lies the singularity, a place where all known science fails. Here's the haunting part. You could pass right by one of these and never know. It wouldn't roar or pull you in like some sci-fi monster. It wouldn't cast a shadow. It wouldn't shine. In fact, if you swapped our sun for a black hole of equal mass, Earth would keep orbiting, calmly, silently, none the wiser. But come too close, drift just a bit inward, and you'd cross a line that has no signpost, no warning, no escape. This is the event horizon, the point of no return. Once you pass it, your fate is sealed. You're not just falling into a black hole, you're falling out of existence. No signal escapes, no memory, no light. Now, imagine one of these is moving, not locked in orbit, not hiding in the heart of a distant galaxy, but drifting, alone, free, an invisible force traveling between stars, a silent bullet fired across the universe. That is a rogue black hole. All monsters begin with a transformation. For black holes, that moment is not life, but death. Massive stars don't grow old, they don't wither, they burn through their lives in a furious sprint, until they collapse under the weight of their own brilliance. They die in explosions so powerful, they outshine entire galaxies. A supernova. In an instant, the core is crushed by gravity. Everything that held the star together gives way, and the core folds into itself, smaller than a pinhead, heavier than a million Earths. And just like that, A black hole is born, not with a scream, but with absence. A silence so profound it erases the space it occupies. Most black holes settle. They anchor themselves in the hearts of galaxies or orbit stars like invisible companions. But sometimes, something goes wrong. If the explosion is unbalanced, if the universe blinks unevenly, the black hole can be kicked from its birthplace, hurled outward like a cosmic bullet, silent, unseen, unstoppable. These are the rogues, wanderers born from chaos, hunters with no tether. Some are launched by their own birth, others are flung out during galactic collisions. As entire star systems twist and shatter like glass in slow motion, one moment they're part of a family, the next they're alone. No orbit, no light, no warmth, just hunger and momentum. They don't steer, they don't choose, they just move forever. And out there, in the endless dark, no one knows where they're going or what they might pass through next.
This is a planetary system, balanced, predictable, peaceful. It's been this way for billions of years, until now. A rogue black hole is approaching, slowly, silently, unseen. It doesn't crash into anything it doesn't need to. Its gravity begins to reach across the void, like fingers wrapping around the fabric of the system. Planetary orbits begin to shift. Moons are torn away from their hosts. The delicate balance of gravity shatters. Chaos begins. One by one, planets begin to fall into its pool. But they don't simply vanish. They're stretched, deformed, torn. Apart, molecule by molecule, in a process scientists call spaghettification. The difference in gravity between your feet and your head becomes so extreme, your body elongates like a noodle, not in minutes, not in seconds, in microseconds. Nothing survives this, not machines, not ships, not even atoms as we know them. And if the rogue black hole passes close enough to the system's star, it can drain its mass, strip it apart, or send it flying from its own system, a star exiled into the void. In the end, nothing remains. No light, no evidence, just a ripple in space-time, moving on to its next victim.
Earth feels safe, stable, familiar. Our skies are calm, our satellites obedient. And above us, the stars seem distant, still, and fixed. But space doesn't care how we feel, and black holes don't ask for permission. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, could contain over 100 million black holes. Most sit quietly, anchored in orbit. But a few drift, alone, undetected. Rogue black holes. In 2002, NASA confirmed one such object, floating just 5,000 light years from Earth. That may sound far, but in cosmic terms, it's close. Very close. And it may not be alone. If a rogue black hole were heading toward us now, we wouldn't know. Not right away. Not until our outer planets began to shift. Not until Neptune wobbled by a sliver. Not until our satellites lost their rhythm. GPS failing, tides changing, time itself becoming inconsistent. And even then, would we understand what we were seeing? By the time we realized, the countdown would have already begun. Days, maybe weeks, before the rogue crossed into our solar system. Before Earth began to spiral inward. Could it happen? Yes. Is it likely? No. But is it possible? Absolutely. If a rogue black hole was heading our way, would we know in time? Would we see it?
Would we feel it? Could we stop it? The truth is, we'd only see it indirectly, because black holes themselves are invisible, but they leave behind fingerprints. One of the most important clues is gravitational lensing. When light from a distant star bends around an invisible mass, like a glass lens warping the world behind it, to us, the star might flicker, or briefly brighten, or stretch, then snap back, like a mirage. Astronomers call this microlensing. It's one of the only ways we've ever found rogue black holes. In 2022, we saw one, not with our eyes, but in the way it distorted the starlight around it. It had no light of its own, but its gravity gave it away. Closer to home, we'd look for more subtle signs, slight deviations in the orbit of Neptune, tiny shifts in the asteroid belt, anomalies in deep space probe trajectories. Even our own technology, GPS satellites, atomic clocks, gravitational wave detectors, could pick up the faint hum of space-time bending. But the signs would be small, easy to miss, easy to misread. And by the time we understood what they meant, the rogue could already be here. Even if we saw it coming, there's nothing we could do. It starts with silence. No alarms, no explosions, no signs in the sky. Just tiny, invisible changes. Neptune's orbit begins to shift. Barely. A satellite drifts slightly off course. A few deep space probes return garbled data. Then, the sun begins to move. Not dramatically, but enough to break the harmony of the solar system. A rogue black hole has entered, invisible, relentless, real. First, the outer planets stretch into longer, distorted orbits. Saturn tilts. Jupiter clutches its moons. Mars veers like it's being drawn somewhere. On Earth, things get strange. Tides behave erratically. Storms surge unexpectedly. GPS fails. Clocks drift. Instruments confirm it. An object with 10 times the mass of the Sun, approaching, distance under 100 million kilometers, time until arrival, 13 days. Day 5, Mars disappears from view. Day 9, the Moon's orbit destabilizes. Day 11, the atmosphere begins to stretch upward. Day 13, the sky begins to bend. Time slows. Shadows curve. Buildings moan under impossible pressure. Oceans rise, not as waves, but upward towards the sky. Earth spirals inward. No fire, no explosion, only silence. The Earth crosses the event horizon. Everything we are, our history, our future, our names, isn't destroyed. It's erased, folded into the singularity, where even time has no meaning. It's easy to think of black holes as villains, cosmic monsters, silent, unfeeling destroyers, and sometimes they are. But the truth is more complex. At the heart of almost every galaxy, including our own, is a supermassive black hole. Millions, sometimes billions of times more massive than the Sun. These giants don't just consume, they shape, they anchor, they build. Without them, galaxies might not hold together. Stars might not orbit, solar systems might never form. Sometimes, when black holes feed, they release jets of energy so intense they trigger the birth of new stars. In their hunger, they create. In their chaos, they give order. Even rogue black holes, wandering and alone, may carry with them the seeds of galaxies yet to come. They disturb, they rearrange, they leave trails of gravity that reshape the universe. Black holes are destroyers, but they're also architects. They are the silence, and they are the spark. Without them, the universe might be unrecognizable, maybe even impossible. For all we've learned about black holes, we're still standing on the edge of something vast, something we can't yet comprehend. We don't know what happens at the center of a black hole. We don't know what lies beyond the event horizon. We don't even know if black holes destroy information or if they hide it in ways we haven't yet discovered. Inside the singularity, our physics collapse. Time and space twist into impossible shapes. Mass becomes meaningless. Reality bends until it breaks. Einstein's equations stop working. Quantum theory loses its grip. And in that silence, when nothing makes sense, there might be answers to everything. But we're getting closer. New telescopes like the James Webb are peering deeper into time than ever before. Gravitational wave detectors like LIGO are catching echoes of ancient collisions. Every signal, every ripple is a message from the most extreme places in the cosmos. The next generation of scientists may unlock what we can't yet begin to ask. New dimensions, new forces, new truths about time, space, and us. And at the center of it all, waiting in silence, are black holes. Why are we so afraid of black holes? Is it the gravity? The silence? The total, unstoppable erasure? Or is it something deeper? We fear black holes because they are the unknown, perfectly condensed. They are places where light goes in and never returns. Where our rules fail, where our understanding ends, and maybe deep down we fear the same might happen to us. To be forgotten, to disappear, to vanish, completely even from the memory of the universe. But maybe that fear is what drives us to ask, to look up, to reach. We shine lights into the dark not because we're fearless, but because we're afraid. And every time we ask a question about black holes, we're also asking something about ourselves. What is time? What is death? What's left when there's nothing left? Black holes don't just bend the universe, they bend us. They remind us how small we are, and how much there still is to learn. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes them beautiful. Black holes are not just monsters. They are mirrors, showing us what we fear and what we still don't understand. But it's in the asking, in the wondering, in the imagining, that we find our place in the cosmos. Because every time we look into the dark, we learn something new about the light. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've just traveled through gravity, time, fear, and wonder. And that was only one story. There are countless more. Subscribe to join the journey. One tale at a time, one mystery at a time. Right here at Across the Cosmos.